Hi, I'm doing a very fun video. I just received my Cthulhu Wars game, and I wanted to demonstrate exactly how big Sandy Peterson's Cthulhu Wars game box really is. So I have an assistant who will be handing me a few different things. So first a banana, which is the standard scale. So this is a banana. This shows you how big the box is in comparison to a banana. And I'm going to do a series of different blog posts on different games. One of the games I'm going to do is Magic the Gathering. So if you take a look at a standard Black Lotus, and I guess this is showing off a little bit because I do own a Black Lotus. This is a Magic the Gathering card. The approximate size of a deck would be about that tall. So that gives you an idea just how big this game is. Now, this one little card is more valuable than this big game box, but if you add in all of the extras you can get, they get relatively close. Another one is Flux. Flux is a very fun card game where the rules constantly change, so you're always on your toes trying to figure what to do. I'll do a blog on that sometime in the future. As you can see, this game is more than enough to entertain quite a few people, also quite a bit smaller than a Cthulhu Wars box. A game that I got from Kickstarter, actually, which was where I picked up the Cthulhu Wars game from. It's called Emergence Genesis. This is another card deck building game. It's a relatively new game. I'll have to give a link to some places where you can find it. Again, everything you need for 2 players to play, and quite small compared to the Cthulhu Wars box. This is a game called Arcadia Quest. Arcadia Quest is a very large box, and it's got a lot of miniatures inside, somewhat similar to Cthulhu Wars, which is a miniatures-based game. And this is a very large box in comparison to many game boxes, but still, it's almost nothing compared to the Cthulhu Wars box. It's quite small in comparison to it. Temple of Elemental Evil is a D&D board game that is again quite big, slightly bigger than the Arcadia Quest box. And again, the Cthulhu Wars box is something that can easily eat it all. And finally, Pandemic. This game is a multiple award-winning board game. Definitely voted one of the best games in the last 10 years. And again, 4-player game, and the box will easily be consumed by Cthulhu Wars box. So I'm going to clean up my table a little bit, and then I'll open up the box and show everybody what's inside. Okay, so I have my Cthulhu Wars box, which I just showed everybody what size and scale it is. And I have my handy dandy hobby knife that I use to trim miniatures and such when I'm painting miniatures. And I will open up this box and see what's inside. Now, different reports of people getting this box shipped have indicated that it's not unlikely that there'll be some damage to some components inside. I can feel, just as I move the box around on my table, the components shifting inside a little bit. So it won't be a surprise to me if there's a little bit of damage, but I'm hoping there's not really that much damage at all. The box itself came well protected. There was a very sturdy outer box for shipping. And it only came 3 months later than promised in the Kickstarter, which is about average, unfortunately, for Kickstarter. You really have to just assume that you're not going to get it very quickly. So that is the box top coming off, and here are the components. So far, I don't see any obvious damage to the components on top. I'll move the camera so it gets a little bit closer, and I'll go through the box itself. Hi. So you actually get to see me. I looked at the video when I was opening up the box and showing everything, and I realized that you could see my chest at most, but not my face. So I'm actually the Michael guy that's been running the blog, and my lovely assistant Sarah is in the background moving around the camera so you can see me. I actually did an yeah, that's Sarah showing her fingers. I actually did an unboxing video, and then I looked at it and I realized that the way I was holding everything, you couldn't see what I was showing when I was lifting it up. So I'll do a better job of it this time, and I'll start to actually show things. So Sarah, if you can point the camera down at the box.
I mean, really, you just want to edit the other things together.
So this is my handy dandy banana, so that you could see a banana in scale to the pieces. This is the rule book. The rule book is in the form of a somewhat thick pamphlet. You can glossy paper. Doesn't look like the rules are actually exceptionally that long, to be honest with you. So not that long as rule books go. It also comes with a sheet of paper that describes all the expansions you can buy. There's actually even more. This is from the first version, Onslaught 1. I participated in the Kickstarter for Onslaught 2. They've added a bunch of extra pieces and rules to the game with Onslaught 2. Unfortunately, there was about 3 months later than it said it was supposed to ship, so I was supposed to get this 3 months ago, but again, for Kickstarter, that's not so bad. So in the top of the box comes the game map. The game map is made on fairly sturdy cardboard, well printed, looks quite nice. It's a stylistic picture of the world, and it comes double-sided. One side says 5 players, the other side says 3 players. I'm not sure, I'll have to read the rules to see which size you use for 4 players and which size you use for 6 players, but I'll take a look at that. Again, pretty nice map, and it fits together, so you're going to need a relatively big playing surface to play the game. It's not a small map. It's not absolutely huge, but it's not small. And it fits together like this to make a very large game map. Also in the box is a logo printed bag. I'm assuming this is to put pieces. I think once you punch out everything, the gates and the tokens and such, you would put into this. It says Cthulhu Wars, a Sandy Petersen game. I don't want to go on too much about Sandy Petersen, but he's a very, very long time game designer, very famous for a game called Call of Cthulhu, and he's been associated with Cthulhu type products for quite a while. Inside here, there is something called Ritual Track. I know from reading online a little bit, it's where you track where you are for your different, for some different characteristics of doing rituals and such in the game. There's several of these, so I'm assuming it's meant, there's a 3, a 4, and a 5-player version. Relatively flimsy paper. It's sort of stiff paper, not really cardboard, not really paper. There's a Doom track. That tracks, there's nothing on the back of the Doom track, it's just black. It tracks where you are towards putting up Doom points for the game. There is some playing cards. Again, they're not double-sided. It looks like it's just a list of the turn sequence. I haven't opened it up, but maybe it's just a reference so every player can keep track of that. Each of the great old ones has their specific card. On the back of the card is rules and such that goes with the and it looks like it's a little bit of background and color information. The front is the actual functional part of it. And the original game comes with Great Cthulhu, Yellow Sign, Crawling Chaos, and the Black Goat. Those are the 4 great old ones that come with the original game. And there's also cardboard cutouts. These look like spell books. These looks like some different types of counters, and these are gates. In the Onslaught 2 of Kickstarter I participated in, these gates are actually plastic, so there's a plastic version of these gates. It'll look a little better. This is a lot sturdier. It's very similar to the material that's used in the maps, and I think it should hold out fine, and there's no damage to any of the sides, even though the parts were moving in the box fairly easily. And this part here is actually the exciting part. These are the great old ones. And these are the game pieces used to play the game. And just as an example, this is Cthulhu, and it's quite a nice sculpture. It's a multiple piece sculpture, but it's already assembled when it comes in the game. And this is a banana for reference. So the great old one is approximately the same size as a banana, which is quite a nice size for a miniature. And I know from reading online, although I haven't actually played the game yet, that these do come out and you do play with them. And they'll be on the map. So just to give an idea, when this is quite an imposing figure, and there's quite a few different ones, and they're different colors. So there's 4 main colors because it's a 4-player game supported in the box, and there's red, yellow, blue, and green color. So quite nice creatures. And although there've been some reports of damage from people online that have been received in the box, it looks like mine doesn't have any actual damage, and I don't see any of the parts being bent or anything. You can unbend these parts by boiling water. putting in a big bowl and then using the boiling water to melt the plastic a little bit and then bend them. They suggest you don't try and do it in the actual, if you try to do that, you don't do it in the actual pot, because it's quite possible that you'll touch the metal and actually melt the plastic to a way you don't want to. But again, the big pieces are quite nice looking, and I'm quite impressed with that. The actual insert that protects them, there's a small crack. That's also something that's reported pretty often. I do know that Peterson Game Company has taken into account, this is still from the first version that was produced, and supposedly the next version that's going to be produced will be much better and not have that. So if you lift out the great old ones, in the bottom of the box are the rest of the game pieces. Again, they're all miniatures. These look like the priests or the cultists that you use to play the game. There's a couple of different monsters. Each side has their own monsters that you can summon to fight against other monsters. And there's quite a few of them. They're all in a big bag. Don't know how good that is to protect them long term, but I don't see any sign of anything being damaged in transit. And it also does come with a bag of dice, fair amount of dice, so I'm guessing this is something like Risk, where you end up rolling a ton of dice to play. Anyways, that is the unboxing video. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Sometime in the future, I'll do a gameplay video, probably featuring my lovely assistant Sarah in the gameplay video, and one or two other people that I'll rope in to show it. But I liked the unboxing. It looks like quite an interesting game, and I'll be writing more on my blog on this as well.